Good morning, friends. Michelle here with Halfway Homestead, and this morning I am in the kitchen. My morning routine starts out with a leisure cup of coffee while watching the morning news, and then I head to the chickens. I take care of them, make sure all the animals have food and water. Then I go to the garden, and I will work out in the garden for 2 or 3 hours until I get too hot, and then I come inside. Usually about halfway through that 2 or 3 hours, I'll take a little break, grab a granola bar, another cup of coffee, or maybe a muffin, something like that. I am a school teacher, and so I even do this during the school year, this breakfast prep, and I just really appreciate a quick, easy breakfast. And now that now that it's summer and it's garden season, it's still important for me to have a quick, easy breakfast. So I'm going to start out with some breakfast casserole type muffins. They're going to have sausage, cheese, eggs, some protein powder, get them all baked up. And I like to have them in muffins because that is an individual serving. And so I can warm those in the microwave. I can pop them in the air fryer, throw them in the oven, whatever seems to be the quickest, easiest way for that morning. And if I make a big batch of these, then I will go ahead and put some in the freezer for later. But today I'm starting out with just half a pound of cooked sausage. It's left over from the other night when we had biscuits and gravy. So I'm going to get that into my bowl, get it used up. I do have my oven preheating to 400 degrees. All right, let me get something. Get all that sausage out, and this is just plain breakfast sausage. You could do a hot sausage if you wanted to, or a turkey sausage. Bring this down closer. Whoop, there we go. Okay. I also had baked a cake a few days ago and had some extra egg yolks, so I'm gonna get those in here. Because I'm doing half a pound of sausage, I'm only going to do 6 eggs. If I did a whole pound, I would do a dozen eggs. And I just kind of make up these measurements as I go. This seems to be what works for me. Okay, let's get these eggs. These are farm fresh eggs. Not from my farm, from a friend's farm. Whoops. My chickens are still babies, and they are not laying yet. Ooh, that's a nice big one. And I haven't even sprayed my muffin pan yet because since I'm doing a half batch, I'm not sure how many muffins it's going to make. All right, let me rinse my hands real quick. And I got a little piece of shell in there. Okay, get that out. Okay, now the other night we had tacos and I had some shredded cheese in the refrigerator. So I'm going to get that used up. One nice thing about this dish is you can clean out the refrigerator for some of it. Okay, I'm also going to go in with an additional handful of cheddar. That was cheddar also that I already put in. So there's a handful of cheddar. I'm going to go in with a handful of parm. So I like to buy my cheese in bulk and then shred it myself. I freeze it flat on a baking sheet. And then once it's frozen, I put it into bags. And that way it doesn't stick together when I stick it back into the freezer. All right, I'm also, whoops, dropped something. I'm also going to go in with about a cup of milk. Now you could use heavy cream, you could use half and half, whatever your little heart desires. Okay. There's a cup of milk. Now I am not going to add any salt and pepper to this because that sausage when I made it the other night, was very salty already on its own. And cheese also has a lot of salt in it. So I'm not going to add anything extra. All right, I'm going to go in with 3 tablespoons of protein powder. And I get this at Sam's. Get this back here out of the way. Okay, I'm going to get this whisked up. Break those egg yolks, mix in the milk. You know, I do think I'll add a little bit of black pepper, just because the sausage and all was salty, but it really wasn't peppery. So I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. Ooh, you know what else I'm going to add? Super greens. Okay, so I dehydrate greens from my garden. I dehydrate cabbage, broccoli leaves, cauliflower leaves, beet leaves, kale, and I dehydrate it, then I powder it, and I can add this to different dishes. All right, I'm gonna go in with 2 tablespoons of the greens. Little added nutrients in there. And yes, it's gonna turn my mixture kind of green and gross looking. That's okay. Get this mixed in. I should have put those greens in first. They're kind of just sitting on top and not wanting to mix in. I'm going to move these blueberries before I knock them over. They're for the next dish. Ooh, I about dropped them anyway. Okay, and there is our breakfast muffin mixture. I'm going to use a measuring cup and I think I'll do 1/3 in each muffin tin. But first I'm going to take this over to the sink and I'm going to spray probably 9 of these, and I'll spray more if I need it. Okay. I like to spray over at the table because that way I don't get spray in the floor, which then makes for a very slick surface. All right, move that. Okay, I'm just going to take about 1/3 of a cup, put into each muffin tin or muffin hole. You could put muffin liners in here if you wanted to. I typically don't. I think just spraying works fine. You could throw this all into a baking dish and then cut it into squares later. But like I said, I like to have the muffins just for easy, quick breakfast. Individual servings. Okay, it looks like I'm going to need maybe 1 more sprayed. Okay. And I think what's left in here, I'm just going to divide up with the rest because it's mostly liquid and that's not going to make for a very good muffin. Let's see, I'll go there and we'll go right there. Okay, and easy as that. I have 10 breakfasts. My husband likes these also, so that's a bonus. These are going to puff up a little bit. They may come out of their muffin tin because I filled them pretty full, but that's okay. I'm going to stick these in the oven. I'm going to start them out at 30 minutes, and then we will see how long it actually takes. All right, timer on. 30 minutes. And let me grab another bowl because we're going to mix up another muffin. Okay, I really don't need one this big, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to stick my cheese back in the freezer. That way it doesn't thaw out too much. Oh, I need some eggs. This one is also very protein packed. I'm only going to do about 4 eggs for this one, I believe. We'll see how it works out. I might need to add some more, and it looks like I need to get some more eggs. So I'm going to start out with cracking my 4 eggs into my bowl. This one is a baked oatmeal muffin. And again, you could put this into, I got some shell in there. I know better than to crack eggs into my bowl. I know to crack them into a separate bowl, but I'm being lazy today and didn't do it. Okay. There we go. Start out with 4. I need a cup of oats. I'm going to start out with a cup. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, you could bake this in a baking pan, and again, cut it into squares. I've done that many times, but for the sake of convenience, I'm going to do muffins. Okay, there's 1 cup. I might add more. We'll see. I'm going to go in with a cup of blueberries. Oh, I forgot to put my other cheese in my breakfast muffins. So I'm going to stick that back in the freezer. I'll get that in the next one. And I'm going to add some jelly. This is lilac jelly. Yes, I made it from actual lilacs. It's not a jelly that we're loving. It's just kind of plain. But it'll be perfect in this. So I'm going to do probably about, grab a spoon, probably about half a cup of jelly. I guess, you know what, I'm just going to eyeball it because I know that this little jar holds 1 cup. So I'm going to do half the jar. If I think it needs more, I'll put in more. Okay. Now in this one, I'm also going to do some sunflower seeds. Let's go in with 2 tablespoons of sunflower seeds. You could use any kind of nut or no nuts if you didn't want any. I'm also going to do some walnuts. These are really big pieces, so I'm just going to go in with like 2 handfuls. I'm not going to take the time to chop. Like I said, I'm being lazy today. All right. I'm just going to use the same whisk because it was already dirty, and I'm going to add my protein powder. You certainly could leave this out, but I'm going to go in with 3 tablespoons this time, just because this doesn't have the sausage and the cheese. It's more of a sweet muffin. Okay, I need to add some milk. I'm going to go in with 1 cup of milk. Now, if I had an abundance of eggs, I would probably add another 4 or 5 eggs. But I don't, and my chickens are not laying right now. So I'm going to get this mixed up. I know that whisk sounds terrible on that stone bowl, doesn't it? Get that jelly mixed up in there. Okay, now this is one that I know my husband will not eat. He loves oatmeal. He loves everything that's in here except for that lilac jelly. He wasn't too big on that. But for whatever reason, he does not like baked oatmeal, and that's okay. But because I know he's not going to eat it, I'm going to do a little special topping that he can't have. Okay, let me get this out of the way. I'm going to again take my muffin tin over to the sink to spray, and I'm going to start out with, I'm going to go ahead and do all 12. Because I know this one is going to puff up a little bit. And I think I'm going to go in with another, let me stir that in. I really mix in the oats until I feel like it's kind of a loose batter almost. Okay, I'm gonna do another one. You know, oats are going to absorb that liquid and they're gonna swell. So I don't want it completely batter-like. I want a little bit of fluid. Okay, all right, that's what that looks like. I'm not gonna put the greens in this one, although I could. I'm just choosing not to. Okay, I'm gonna grab a different, let's see, I went in with 1/3 of a cup on the breakfast one, didn't I? Okay, I'm gonna go in with 1/4 of a cup on these, and then I can fill them up more if I decide I need to. There's some chunks of jelly that didn't get mixed in very good. Let me smash that in there a little bit. I like to use the jelly in there because, well, for starters, I love to make jelly, but not all the jelly I make ends up being something we like. I like to try out using flours and things that I have foraged to make my jelly. And I'm gonna put a little more liquid in that one. And sometimes it's just not great. But in something like this, I can use it up to help sweeten the product and it doesn't go to waste. I said I was doing 1/4 of a cup, but I'm really heaping these up there, so it's probably more of like 1/3. Okay, now what's left in here, whew, I'm gonna grab a rubber spatula because that sounds terrible. And I'm just gonna divvy this up amongst whatever is in my pan. Some are fuller than others. Okay, let's use this little tablespoon. I need enough liquid in there to help the oats absorb, and it'll make it a bit custard-like in the long run, which we want because we want those oats to absorb and stick together. A few more oats right there. Okay. In the sink. Okay, and there we have it. These are going in a 400-degree oven. I'm going to set a different timer. Actually, you know what? The timer right now is on 21 minutes from when I set it for 30 for the breakfast muffins or the egg muffins. And I think I'm going to let it go at 20. I'll check them at 20. If they're not done, I'll give them some more time. And I will be back with you shortly. Okay, so 30 minutes was perfect for the egg sausage cups. 20 minutes was perfect for the baked oatmeal cups. I did forget to put my special topping on, so I pulled them out a few minutes after I put them in, and I just sprinkled the tops with cinnamon and sugar. They're still pretty hot, but look at this. This is the oatmeal blueberry. And then this is the sausage egg cup. Now I have them laid out here on baking sheets. Took them out of their muffin tins, put them onto baking sheets. I want them to cool completely before I package them up for the refrigerator. But let's look inside of the baked oatmeal. Doesn't that look good? I nibbled on a little crumble that came off, and it tastes just like an oatmeal cookie. So good. The egg cups are still pretty hot. I'm not going to bite into one of those yet, but let's break one open so you can see. Okay. There we go. It is, smells so good. So those that I broke open, I'll probably eat. Maybe that'll be my lunch. So I do think those egg cups were pretty hard to get out, even though I sprayed the pans. And I remember the last time I made them, they were hard to get out too. So I think next time I make them, I will go ahead and use some paper liners just to make it a little bit easier. And I don't think paper liners are going to be too bad for the environment. So thank you for making breakfast goodies with me. These will be, I mean, if I ate just one at a time, that's 10, 22 breakfasts. And they're going to be delicious, and they're going to be fast, and they're going to be easy and nutritious. So thank you for hanging out in the kitchen with me. If you have not yet liked, shared, or subscribed to my channel, please go to YouTube and do that. I usually post my videos on Facebook, and it gives you a link to get to YouTube. Or you can go straight to YouTube. So, forgot to put my mic on. I hope you can hear me, and I will see you next time we are either in the garden or in the kitchen. Happy cooking, my friends.